Welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UK OCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
You're listening to the 101st most popular podcast for listeners who know the mohawk never went out of fashion. All right, one listener. All right, it's fashionable, right? Fashionable.
Yeah, my friend, it's that time of the week again. Welcome to the Swift Half. How are you?
I'm great, Alan. It sounded like you brought the sound barrier on that one.
I'm in a really good mood in a minute. You know, I don't know why I'm in a good mood. Maybe it's because I'm racing this weekend. That's probably a good thing. But I'm in just really good mood all week.
No, I've been in a good mood as well, which is kind of weird because we were talking off air. We do occasionally do that, listener. We don't just hit record and that's me and Alan done for a week. We're talking off air about how unbelievably busy we are because everyone's woke up from their Christmas hibernation. So work's busy, the awards are busy, the podcasts are variously busy. You've got an event this weekend. I've got an event this weekend. So by all kind of, I don't know, standards, we should be miserable or stressed or whatever. I'm really happy. I'm not sure if it's a coping mechanism.
It could be. This last Monday was Blue Monday, weren't it? Which I'd say is like the most downest day in the whole year. It's 3 weeks at the third Monday in January. And it's when the credit card bills get dropped on your doorstep and things like that. I'm told, I don't know, I don't have a credit card, but it gets dropped on your doorstep and it everyone gets down, but I wasn't down. I've been down all week. I've really been on up all week, which is strange for a Yorkshireman, I think.
I believe it is. We might have to change the water. And a top tip, listener, if the credit card bill did arrive, just write on it, not known at this address, and it'll be sorted for a couple of months at least.
I tell you what, I did get stressed at. It's actually one of those topics tonight, but I'm going to tell it before we ask what you drink. So after recording last Friday, what dropped into my emails was my Tough Mudder ticket. So, you know, I've mutilated my body in the interest of going to Tough Mudder every year. So I get a season pass, a lifetime season pass, and it dropped on my emails on Friday afternoon, and the code didn't work. There was uproar. The code didn't work, Ian.
So what was wrong with the code?
So the code that they put in there, it said, I'm paraphrasing when I say this, but it said TM 2024 and then use some unique numbers. Well, we're not in 2024, are we? And we're in 2025.
Did you have to change the number?
Just literally change the number. Big thank you to Matt Rigby for letting me know that. Otherwise, I would have been fuming on Saturday morning. But yeah, it was TM 2024, and you just changed it to a 2025. I actually put it on one of our Facebook things, and I got 7 private messages telling me thank you very much. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome that we're able to help people, which is the whole idea of this podcast. Talking about the tattoos, though, do you remember when Tough Mudder first came out? They had like tattoo artists at events and you could get a tattoo there and then. I think some of them were free at one point, and it's just weird to think how much the world has moved on, because that was considered somewhat, edgy and what you should do, and Tough Mudder was counterculture.
Yeah, I guess it was. It's and it's strange now, isn't it? Because I remember when I was growing up, my dad had got tattoos. I didn't have tattoos. I was like, that old people who have tattoos, because my dad had got them. I didn't have tattoos until I was got to about, I went through a midlife crisis, probably around about 35, 40 year old. And all of a sudden I started getting some ink done on me, and I forget what I've had done. And I know what I've got done. I could name one. I haven't got that many, but you forget sometimes if you don't see them. So I forget them. I've got my calves done and things like that. And I actually forget that I've got my Tough Mudder tattoo. I really do, because mine's on my thigh. Some people have them on the ribs, some people have them wherever, but mine's on my thigh. And because I wear trousers, I forget that I have it there. It's just there, but it saves me so much. £845 it saved me this year.
Wow, that is a cracking deal, but which is no longer available, by the way, listener. It was phased out when the new management took charge. To be fair to them, they did allow a period of time, a period of grace for people to get sorted, but no longer available. Please don't do that. But funny you mention about tattoos like that, because I don't have any. I've not yet hit 35, Alan, so we'll see how that happens when I hit it. But the intern, she does have a tattoo on her calf of a dragon. So yeah, she's literally the girl with a dragon tattoo, I guess.
Yeah.
But she does have a tattoo, and honestly, I forget about it most of the time, and she probably does too. And it's only when you see people for the first time, and when she's in sports clothes, you'll be able to see it. But it's only when people see her and see it that you realize it's there.
Exactly. I mean, if people have seen me run, I've got a really big cross on my back. I've got a Celtic cross on my back, fills my whole back up. And I had it when I found God. So 15 years ago, I became quite religious for a few years, and I still am a little bit. If anyone knows me, I still am a little bit. But I became quite religious back then. Went to church every weekend and found God enough, and it was part of my life. So I had it done, and I forget completely that I have got it on my back. It is, I can't remember, and I'll go to like when I went on holiday last year, and we was on the beach, and someone said to me, "Nice tattoo, mate," and I went, "Oh yeah," thinking they were meaning the one on my shoulder, and I'm going, "Yeah, yeah," and that's celebrate my kids and stuff like that, and they went, "Oh no, the one on your back," and I went, "Oh yeah, the one on my back, yeah," just because it's just there and you can't see it every day.
We're going way off topic here, and this is potentially controversial. Would your tattoo bar you from visiting certain countries and taking your top off?
Whew. Do you know, I've never even thought about that. Mine doesn't depict Jesus, and it doesn't depict. It is a Celtic cross, if I'm honest. So I don't know. Was it the Muslims? Do they have crosses on? Because Muslims have crosses on their church, and that's what I'm thinking. Maybe a Muslim country might ban them. I don't
Not
know.
just Muslim countries, is Israel, other countries which are more secular who may ban all religious artifacts anyway. But if it's a Celtic cross, I guess it shouldn't be as bad. It's not a crucifix, so it
Mm.
shouldn't be as bad. But it is interesting because, like you say, that's just you. I wonder if any other people have got like tattoos done and then they think, oh, well, that actually stops me doing X, Y, and Z.
That'd be interesting to know. Any of our listeners, let us know, and we'll talk about this next week because I think that's a great topic. Have you got a tattoo or anything on your body that would stop you from going to another country if you exposed it? Clean answers only, please, on an email or a message.
Yeah, please, clean answers. Right, speaking of clean, what are you drinking? I presume it's a clean, crisp beer.
It is actually a clean, crisp beer. I went to where I work. Opposite me, there is I want to call it Home Bargains. I don't know if it is Home Bargains, but it's one of these shops that sells cheap items. And this week it's had Pepsi Coca Cola in. Pepsi Coca Cola. You can't have Pepsi Coca Cola. It's Pepsi or Coca Cola, isn't it? So they've got Pepsi in there, really cheap. 24 cans for £5. So I get them and I put in my drawer at work. And while I was in there, they had some beers, and I only got 2 cans. So this is by a brewery called Love Lane, Love Lane, and I got a Session IPA. This one says that it is with floral and gooseberry notes and a citrus pine. They're very low in alcohol. This is 4%, and I think the other one's a slightly different one, but that's 4% as well. So live tasting. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I like that. That's very interesting. That's very citrusy, but I can taste like the woody pine in it.
That's interesting. So I've never heard of that brewery before. So you beer connoisseurs, let us know if you've heard of it. And if you've not, maybe try it out.
Yeah. Pound a can it was. Bargain. I got 2 cans while I was in there. What are you drinking?
Well, tonight I am drinking what's left of your share of the Jubel. So I'm on Jubel Peach.
I like that. My share.
Sorry, it went down quickly.
I remember my dad was. I'm talking about my parents' school. I mean, talking about my dad once. I don't know if you're ever this. He said, "Would you like a drink?" We was out somewhere. Would you like a drink? And I went, "Yeah, can I have?" And he went when bottles of Coke were out. You remember the little bottles of Coke? And I went, "Yeah, can I have a bottle of Coke?" He went, "You can't have one, but we'll share it." So I went, "Yeah, all right then." He says, "You can have bottom, you can have top half, but I'm going to have first drink." And then he drank the whole bottle himself. And I went, "I thought we sharing." He went, "Yeah, but I had to drink yours to get to mine." And I think I cried. I was only very, very young, and he gave me a bottle to myself. But I got that, yeah. Your share and my
Oh,
share.
oh, I love that. I love that. Listener, in case you're wondering, it is delicious. This peach beer. Definitely try out Jubel if you haven't already. If you haven't listened to last week, we explained they quite nicely sent all of them to mine as opposed to sharing with Alan. So I'm kidding, listener. I think there might be a can or two left for Alan. So next time I see him, he can have that. Moving on from beer, let's talk about metal games actually, which is a weird kind of segue because that's one place where you won't get a beer because just don't drink beer over there. But what they do is they do put on good OCRs, as we saw. We talked about this last week, and we were saying that it's probably going to be similar to a Spartan race. And to be fair, Alan, it was watching it, but it wasn't just a case of having Spartan obstacles and that's it. They had some nice innovations that I think you'd like.
Tell me more, Ian.
Well, you in particular would love the fact that they had, I want to say 6 foot walls, but it could have been seven, but we had four of them in a row very close together.
Oh, I love that. An obstacle that's not necessarily hard, but then you put several of them together to make it hard.
I presume that they don't have much in the way of hay bales over in Kuwait.
Yeah, because that's exactly what I would have done. Oh, I did do.
Exactly, exactly. It was, I believe, a 10K race, give or take. So it was similar to a beast. What was quite interesting was the obstacle order, which I think you'd like. So you had like 10 foot walls, which were fairly early on. You had quite a few scramble obstacles early on. I won't go through them all, but then the rigs. So they had from Spartan, they had the beta, they had the what's the rotating monkey bars called? One's beta, but you know the one where you get the handle.
Twister.
Twister, yes. So they had that as well, and they were all towards the back half. So it was really putting you through the ringer, so to speak, because initially you'd be doing a lot of scrambling, and your upper body would start to get a bit taxed, and then you needed precision at the end. I thought it was smart.
I like that. That's quite good. That putting obstacle groups together, so you're actually physically tiring out one section of your body. I like that idea. Ian.
Absolutely. They also had, in terms of carry, have you ever seen on Strongman I think it's Iron Cross. We're talking about a lot of crosses tonight, but you know the one where you basically hug it?
I do, yeah.
They had that, and you're watching the females. That didn't look fun. It didn't look fun on a male either, but it just didn't look a fun time. Well done to Libby for getting through that because, as we know, Libby is an athletic obstacle racer, but she is slight in frame, and in fact, a lot of the female racers were, and they were gritting their teeth through that, Alan.
Wow. Well, I think David Bird down at Rocket Race was going to do an event with those included. So a bit like OCR games, but with those involved.
Yeah, I think honestly, if this race would been in the UK or in the USA, I think it would have got a lot more traction. I know in terms of obstacle difficulty, it was a fairly straightforward race, but I have to take my hat off to the RD for obstacle placement. It seemed to be thought through as opposed to I've got 20 obstacles or from like this. And not trying to blow smoke up your backside, Alan, but I find you tend to do that when you're thinking about your obstacles, in that the earlier obstacles will tend to be a little bit grip heavy, and then towards the back end of a race, mainly because of the placement of the actual fields, that's when you start having the dirty and the wet obstacles. But and this is for Overlord, of course.
Yeah.
And when people have done the dirty and the wet obstacles, you don't then have them do monkey bars.
No, no. Or we give them a big gap between the monkey bars because I think you remember last year we put them in the water to clean them off, and then we had the monkey bars about a mile later, which gave them plenty of time to dry their hands and things like that. But you're right, we wouldn't put where our rig section is, and our water set is right near the muddy section, but we don't put them into the mud before they do the rigs, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And Alan, I know you love Bling by the way, and there's been so much content that you may have missed the Bling for Metal Games. Because I know you've just been tuning in and out of it, so I know you haven't been following along like I have. Did you manage to catch the Bling, or should I describe it to you?
Describe it to me because I'm going to be honest here. With me doing work on Saturday and other things on Sunday, I really missed a lot of the metal games.
No, absolutely, because it was I know it was Friday, but most of us were working on Friday, so a lot of us, me included, kind of caught up on Saturday, which is the traditional OCR watching time. But if you are curious about the Bling, head over to the OCR report or to Metal Games Instagram. There's a lovely video of Ryan Atkins. I say video because the medal it's like a shield. So imagine like a shield that you'd have for like police, a police cop. Police cop, is that a thing? Anyway, imagine
Please, cop.
yeah, imagine that. But they have a square bit which is cut out, and down the middle you've got. I'm doing a terrible job of describing this, but you've got to pull down the middle so you can spin the middle.
Oh, I like them. I like them.
So
I like spinny medals.
spinny medals are fun because it's just something unique. I like a unique medal. I don't like something that looks like there's been no thought put into it. I love unique. I love wooden medals. I know some people don't, but I do like wooden medals. I like things that are different. Like we talked about the nuclear fit medals on here and on the Fitness Racing podcast about how basically James finds something for his trophies and he makes a trophy out of it. And it's cool, that could be like a cog or a nut, or it could be like a 1 foot apparatus that he's thing. And then you've got to figure out how to get that home if you're not in the car.
I'm going to ask Will Chung. Will, if you remember, I'm sure you will have done these. When you first found UKOCR, we did some virtual races and we did a water one, a climbing one, and something else, and they all slotted together. But Will, if you've got one, send me a picture of them so I can show Ian, because they had spinny things inside them as well, Ian. So I'm going to assume that this was very similar to what you've got.
I suspect it was very similar to the metal game. Sadly, I didn't get one. I didn't head over, but one that Libby's got and a few other athletes. Should I go through the results, by the way?
Oh, yes, please.
Let's go through the men's first. And again, thanks to the OCR report for making it easy for us. I didn't have to dig around. They were there. But we'll go top 6, if that's okay.
Sounds good to me.
So in 6th place, we have Alec Blockland, 58.55. In 5th place, we have Leon Corfed, 57.38. 4th place, Sergey Perilygin, I think. Perilygin, sorry, Sergey, completely butchered your name. But he is a great racer. We've seen him before. 55.35 for him. VJ Jones was in 3rd place, 54.09. And then separated by 50 seconds from top place, Thomas Van Tonder from, I believe that's Republic of South Africa, 51.21. And in 1st place, Ryan Atkins, 50 minutes, 31 seconds.
Wow. Is Ryan back then, do we think? I mean, because he's took some scalps there.
He has done well, and we know that a 10K race, Ryan's good at any race, but a 10K race is on the other side of his wheelhouse. He doesn't do a lot of them. He much prefers the longer stuff, doesn't he? He likes outlasting people, but
yeah,
he really did well. Let's move over to the female category. Okay, in sixth place, although it says here fifth, but you'll find out why in a minute. But in sixth place, we had Emma Watson from the United Kingdom, 1:34.27. Emma fell a little bit down the field. The rest were relatively close. From second, beg your pardon, from third down to fifth, there wasn't too much between them. And then we'll talk about top two in a second. But Libby Joyce, well done, Libby. Fifth place overall, 1:14.35. Third place was Eva Van E, 1:12.37. And second, beg your pardon, in third place, Angelique Chettenot. The reason I kept messing that up, and I could be wrong on this, but we had a joint first place in Nicole Miracle and Alyssa Petrova, who finished in, well, dead heat.
Exactly the same times.
Exactly the same times. I will say that from what I understand, well, from watching along, halfway through, it appears that Alyssa and Nicole made almost like a pact that they were going to run together and they'd take it from there.
Okay. We've talked about this before on some other races, haven't we, where people would make a pact and finish together. So did they actually cross the line together? Because I'm assuming you've seen this, Ian.
Yeah, they crossed the line together after the last obstacle, which, I want to say was Twister, but memories fade. But it was definitely a rig-based obstacle. Nicole actually turned around to wait, and they crossed holding hands. I will point out that on the OCI reports post, Julie Botwood, who we do know, I've said, why are the women's results different to the official results page? Some athletes were DQ'd and timings are different on there. I don't know about that. There's been no response. So I don't know the answer. But if anyone does know the answer, we'll happily clear it up next week.
Yeah, that's interesting. So there's prize money at this, wasn't there? There was prize monies at this.
There was. I don't know offhand how much the actual prize money was. I do know that in some of the discussion as to why Nicole and Alyssa crossed together, that the prize money in and of itself wasn't really massive. Hey, all prize money is good, but it kind of seems like when they realised it was just down to them two and they'd left the pack behind, they probably decided that better to split first and second place prize fund between them rather than one of them getting significantly more than the other.
Okay, I get that. That makes sense. I think that's you see that you don't often see that in sport, do you? But I have seen it in like game shows, shall I say, where people say, "Oh yeah, whoever comes first and second will split it."
My favourite one of these, Alan, was Las Vegas Tougher Mudder. Did you ever hear about that?
No. So when was this? What year was this?
That would have been probably 2017. So we're going back in the archive, but Tough and Mudder, when they did like an actual series where they were giving out fantastic prize money back in the day, they did a race at Vegas. And I can't actually remember the two athletes involved, but similar to what happened, they ran side by side. And I want to say first place would get like 10K, second place would get like 5K, or it might have even been less.
Yeah.
So they were running side by side and they pulled up around about 10 yards from the finish line and played rock, scissors, paper to decide who won.
I like that. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's pretty cool. Was this about the same time where Ryan and Jonathan did the world's toughest mudder and broke the 100 miles for the first time and got, was it $1 million or something weird and wonderful, $100,000?
Yes, it was. It was absolutely around that time. Right, I've just pulled up the actual results for the elite. Let's have a nosy through this. So this is on Metal Games. So according to Metal Games, the men's, I don't know about the times. I'm not going to bother with that. But the men's seems fine. You know, Ryan Atkins, Thomas Van Tonder, VJ Jones, Sergey, Leon, and Alec. Let's have a look at the female. Okay, in the female again. Oh, in the female, it had Alyssa crossing 1 second before Nicole. But my suspicion is that that's the way timeships work. Okay?
Yeah.
It then had Angelique in second and Eva in Angelique in third, then Eva in fourth, and yeah, Libby again was down there. Oh, it does look like it was poor Emma who was allegedly DQ'd, but I don't know. I don't know the answer. OCR report have given her a time. She's from the UK, so I'm declaring that she was sixth place. You happy with that, Alan?
Sounds good to me. I like that. I
Oh,
like that.
right. Anything else you'd want to chat about metal games, or should we move on?
Let's move on, Ian. Let's move on. Let's go. Let's talk something UK-ish.
Right, before we move on from metal games, am I right in thinking you're going to go a deep dive into the whole experience soon?
To the whole experience of metal games.
Yes, because you've got a guest who's lined up.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I am. You're quite right. You actually confused me then because I wasn't thinking about that. Yes, I am going to be talking to Libby later on this week. So in the next 2 weeks, if it's not next Monday, it's the Monday after, you will get to hear more about the metal games, what was there, what it was like, and what the experience was like for Libby.
So yeah, that'll be interesting because of course we just gone through what we could see. You need to find out what it was like from the athlete's point of view as well.
Without a doubt, get in there and find out if it's worth travelling that distance for an amazing event. An event that looked amazing.
So where should we go next?
Let's talk Spartan because Spartan announced some things over the weekend, dropped into our inbox, obviously after we'd recorded, as always. Thank you, Spartan, for that. You don't, give us no heads up. But first of all, the Spartan team, the UK team, has been announced, Ian.
Oh, who is on the Spartan UK team?
So we'll go through each one, and that. So in the men, we have got in the UK national team athletes. We've got Jason Brunnock. Jack Carpenter is going to be the team manager. Luke De Benedictus. I think Luke's been in it for quite a few years now, hasn't he? Absolutely amazing athlete. Federica Di Carria is in there. Connor Wickens. Reese Statham Quilty. And Reese has been doing quite well in the Spartan races and that. Andrea Berquez. Fergal Keeney coming on leaps and bounds. Morgan Maxwell, who normally runs out of Rumble Racing, is going to be part of the Spartan national team. Jessie Lloyd. So again, Jessie's come on leaps and bounds, competing really, really well, she was. And then Rachel Decker is also in there. So it's an amazing team. And that, Libby's on there as well. Did I say Libby Earl? I can't remember if I said a Libby Earl. I don't think I did I?
I can't recall, but I'm also not going to tell you to stop recording to go back and check. So if you did, great. If you didn't, we've corrected it.
Yeah, so it's great to see British athletes on the national team. Not sure what's going to happen with them yet in terms of what that means. Does this mean that they're going to go and race in Europe against elites from different countries? Be interesting to see what happens, but it's great that Spartans announced a national team.
It's interesting because this has been announced as a national team as opposed to a national pro team, unless I've mistaken and it has been announced as a national pro team. But when I saw the blurb, the national part of it kind of stuck out to me.
Yeah, it doesn't say national pro, it says the UK national team. Sparta have announced it as the UK national team.
So it is interesting whether this is kind of like a step in the direction of, I don't want to say amateurism, but maybe changing the terminology is kind of like changing what it means. So we all know that World Obstacles' big plan was for OCR to get in the Olympics. And of course, in the Olympics, you don't really have pros, do you? You have just people who are selected for a national team. And I'm just wondering if the change of terminology, if that's what this all means. Will they get the same kind of stuff that the pro team used to get, which tended to get cut as the years went by, to be honest? But I'd presume they'd at least get free race codes, maybe?
I would have thought so. And I don't know what they're going to do with it. I mean, if you remember, I remember listening to Matt B. Davis about some of what the Spartan pro team had to do, while they was in there. They could only race in Spartan gear, and they got different amounts of, depending on what level they were. If they're like the top athlete, I think they got free race codes for everything. The second one's got 50% off, and third tier. This hasn't been announced. We don't know what the contracts are behind it. I'm thinking, though, if these are now on Spartan team, and if we go back a few years to the contracts, it was that when you raced at events, you had to wear Spartan clothing. And I think it was at one stage, it was at any event. So if you went to a Savage race in the States, you had to wear Spartan clothing. Makes this interesting for the UK OCR series because several of them people on there race for other teams. Does that mean we're going to see team changes in the UK OCR series?
Not sure. Is Spartan down as an official team when it comes to British Obstacle?
Then that's what they're going to do, isn't it? If it's not going to be recognised for me, they're not going to the UK national team until they actually beat Nuclear Phoenix, because Nuclear Phoenix are the team to beat.
Here's a question for you, Alan. Some of them names, I know they don't do it all the time, but some of them names have done Hyroxes, quite a few. Rachel Decker, Andrea, amongst others. Hey, Libby went and did a Decker recently. I wonder whether it will stick to Spartan races or whether they're going to encourage this team to go and compete at Decker events.
That would be absolutely amazing, wouldn't it? If they actually had a pro team that got together and went from one race to the next and went as a team, met up as a team, that would be absolutely amazing. I guess that's down to Jack. Jack's the team manager. How can he get everyone at them events? How can he get the UK national team to attend all Spartan events, whether that be OCR or Decker or anything else they want to put on? The paddle world championships down on the River Don between Doncaster and Sprotborough. Whatever they're going to put on Spartan, if they can get all that national team together, I think that would be absolutely amazing. It's what Spartan need for me, and we've talked about this in the past that Spartan have lacked a little bit in exposure recently, especially in the UK. If you're not an elite racer, Spartan doesn't appeal to a lot of people. They got rid of the street team. So they got rid of that street team element of, people recognizing that this is Spartan, this is what Spartan do. And they moved completely away from it all. But then now we've got this national team come back. I'm not saying it's not been before, it has been, but we've got a big hoo-ha about it. And on the same sentence, they released the ambassador list.
They do release the ambassador list. And recently we've been talking about the Tough Mudder ambassador list and how it was cut right back. It doesn't look like there's budget constraints when it comes to the Spartan ambassador list.
Completely opposite, Ian. I mean, this list, and we can't go through all the names because we just haven't got enough time. There are so many names on the Spartan ambassador list. I was shocked. I'm going to be open and honest and say I was shocked. It looks like they've gone, right, all you guys that were Tough Mudder ambassadors, and you're no longer going to be Tough Mudder here, apply for Spartan. And if you don't apply for Spartan, we'll get someone else to do it. And as long as you turn around and put Spartan in your Facebook name, so if I change my name to Alan Spartan Moore, I'm sure I will get a Spartan ambassador code sent to me.
More than likely, but ChatGPT will say you've died again.
Exactly. They will say you've died again. Quickly on ChatGPT, type in B Wood OCR. They put a right up about B. She sent it the other day. It must be 30 pages long. Well done, B, because it's got a lot of it so right about you. You can actually put that on your CV. I would just copy and paste it into my CV if that was me, B. But no, I mean, the Spartan ambassadors, is it too many in? What is too many?
I'm not sure. And I guess it also depends on the purpose, because I do think that Tough Mudder and Spartan, above the one company, they perhaps have different needs at the moment. Tough Mudder, I don't think it's wrong to say they're not getting as many people through the doors as they used to, but they're still packing in quite a few, enough so that you can do, even if it's just a day event, you can have waves running from 8 until 3 or 4, yeah?
Yeah, without a doubt.
So sometimes, Tough Mudder's big issue, particularly when they've moved down to one day, is getting volunteers there, because what used to happen is you go for a Tough Mudder weekend, you'd camp, you'd run one day, you'd volunteer the next.
Yeah.
And most people who do Tough Mudders like running Tough Mudders. There are a few people who would be embarrassed if I name them, I believe, as this. There are a few people who get a lot more out of MVPing than they do out of racing, but the vast majority of MVPs do it. Yeah, they like giving something back, but they're there for a race card.
Without a doubt. And that's we talked about that the other week, that most people do this because they want to get a race out of it.
They do indeed, and yeah, as actually a few people got back to us and said that 50% off isn't that bad in the context of what other races offer. Not going to open that thread up, but yeah, I completely upset that. I'd completely forgot that certain other races like Tough Mudder, when you're doing the same amount of work as you do at Conquer Fitness, do only give you you know a 40% or a 60% code, whatever it is. I haven't looked what the half day code is recently because they keep changing it, or at least it seems like it. But getting back to my point, what Tough Mudder now has kind of not engineered, but it's empowered its ambassadors to volunteer more. And you can get a lot of codes by volunteering more. And therefore, that's filling the need of what Tough Mudder needs. They're doing an okay job of getting people through door. Yeah, they would love more, but they need that support network to put on a good race.
Yeah, 100%.
On the other hand, Spartan, for whatever reason, maybe it's because they don't go to as many places. Maybe it's because some people are upset that they seem to be teaming up with Tough Mudder and you can no longer do a trifecta weekend. They seem to be struggling with numbers compared to a Tough Mudder event. All numbers are down, but they do seem to be struggling. So maybe having a ton load of Spartan ambassadors who could recruit more people to race. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe their focus is on racing. I've not counted up the names, but if each of them brought 20 to each race, then Spartan would have no money troubles in the UK.
Completely agree. I think it's what they need, but it's a massive turnaround. Because I don't remember last year, there were certain ambassadors didn't get their ambassadorships renewed and became very vocal, especially when they've been Spartan honks for many years. You know what I mean? And brought them in. So a massive turnaround from, and maybe it's the new people that are in there because there is a little bit of a new team behind Spartan, and that I know. The guys who are talking about the marketing and that, it's a whole different team now behind there. So maybe it's their thought process. New people coming in. Everyone thinks of new ideas. Let's get it right, Spartan. I want the Spartan to succeed. I don't want them to fail. I think they've done so much for the sport. They've helped Tough Mudder do what they do. They've helped UKOCR. They've helped British obstacle sports. I want them to continue to succeed. And if this is the way, this is the way. I think they need to go back to basics. If you remember back in 2013, 2014, Spartan back then with their street team, they were one of the races to go to. It was like everyone wanted to go to a trifecta. It was the High Rocks of OCR. That's what Spartan was.
It really was. And I just want to walk back to what I said about Spartan not having money troubles if a lot of people went. I have no idea what their finances are. I was just basically saying that if they get so many people to races, then they're printing money and woohoo.
Yeah. I got what you meant, but you're quite right. We'll go back and we'll re-edit. We won't edit that, but now you've resaid it. I think it's fine. People are not moaning.
It's fine. But yeah, as far as we're aware, both companies are doing fine, but they would love more people attending their races. So if you want to do a Spartan, then I am sure you might be able to get a discount code.
Without a doubt. And there's a lot of Tough Mudder discount codes. In fact, there's a lot of codes going around for everything at this moment in time. Everywhere I turn now, I'm seeing codes. This week, I've been sending emails out to some companies trying to get what I would say potential discount codes or maybe prizes and things like that for the UKOCR awards that are happening, to UK Obstacle Racing Awards that open in March. And I've been on a few websites, and when you go onto the contact us, some of them actually have requesting a discount code. Are you contacted to request a discount code? Please click here. So it's worth going into these things. If you're looking for certain things, check them out, because I think so many companies are offering discount codes now.
We have become a discount code nation. I know it's always existed, but so many people are surprised that High Rocks doesn't give discount codes, and it doesn't anymore because it doesn't need to. It's as simple as that. But you are right. Shop around, you'll be able to find one. While we're talking about just money, can we give a massive shout out to all the Legionnaires who helped Tough Mudder raise over 500,000 for good causes, Alan.
Wow, this is amazing. This is on our website, guys. If you want to go and look at this, go on to ukocr.com, click on news and Tough Mudder News, and it's at the top there. 566,000 for the four charities, which are Macmillan Cancer Support, Mind, Cancer Research, and Alzheimer's Research UK. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
It really is. So thank you to everyone donated. Thank you to everyone who helped with that. And it's interesting because although Tough Mudder does do a lot of charity work, they also don't throw it in your face as well. So I was surprised it was so much, if that makes sense, because a lot of the other things, and this isn't a bad thing, it's just comparison, but things like the London Marathon, you can't read an article without it telling you how you can raise money to help good causes for the London Marathon. Whereas Tough Mudder is a little bit more understated, shall we say. But speaking of London Marathon, Alan, there's something on the notes which I'm hoping is about that.
He certainly is. Kipchoge has announced that he's going to run the London Marathon. So anyone out there who's into running knows who Kipchoge is. The only person to run under 2 hours, to run the marathon in under 2 hours. Not an official record because it was done in perfect conditions. I was talking to my running buddies the other day, and we were saying, like, what do we think about it? And is he past his best? Because his age is probably catching up with him now. I think he's still running 2.5s, 2.6s. So, he's not slow, but he's probably his best race going out there. But then you look at so many athletes or so many sports people that you think that have gone past the best, which last weekend, Sean Murphy, the British Masters, he was on the wrong side, of age group up against Kyron Wilson, goes and beats Kyron Wilson, takes it. He's got experience. I've got a strange feeling he might, if he decides to put the proper serious training back in, I think he might surprise people at London.
Absolutely. And Alan, we're not going to go through all the names, but anyone who's seen the start list for London Marathon, it looks like the more stacked elite field that we have seen for some time, particularly on the female side as well.
Without a doubt, Ian, it's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm so looking forward to watching. It's one of them races. I mean, I love watching the London Marathon. I'm going to say I tend to tune in halfway through it, as it gets exciting. I am one of these people that tunes in halfway through as it gets exciting. But, the way I'm watching this at this moment in time, I think I might want to watch it all.
You know what? I might too. It's only, 3 hours out your day to probably watch the elites. Definitely worth watching. I will give a quick shout out to Holly Archer, who is a past guest of the show, who is making her London Marathon debut in the elite field. So good luck to Holly Archer.
Wow, well done, well done. We touched on awards earlier on, Ian. Just a quick one. I want to give a quick shout out to Kit Bricks. I don't think I did this last week, and I meant to do it last week, but Kit Bricks are making us a poncho and a tote bag with UKOCR Awards 2024 written on the sides of them. These are one-off, not to be ever be created again. So we've got one poncho and one tote bag. For anyone who's going to the awards, they're going to be prizes. So on the day.
I think we did mention it last week because you told me I couldn't enter.
That's right. I did probably tell you, yeah. Well, I've told people again because I'm well pleased with them.
I'm well pleased with them too. Speaking of kit bricks, back in the day, they did a Red Bull kit bricks bag. And listener, this is probably a more strange segue we'll do all show, so just work with us. But did you see the Red Bull Ibiza Royale? Did you? I had no clue about this, and I was just randomly Googling obstacle racing in my lunch, because I occasionally look on news, and this cropped up, Alan, and yeah, I don't know what to make of it.
I have looked at it, and it says team up for the wildest obstacles race. It's teams of two. Now, didn't we have something in the UK which was Red Bull Storm the Castle?
I believe so. That might have been in Ireland. It may not have been here, but yeah, very similar. Oh, before we continue, Libby Joyce, stop listening now. Skip forward about 2 or 3 minutes and then pick it up. Katie, you're welcome. But anyway, yeah, I'm fairly sure that we had something similar in the UK. I have no idea whether UK people can enter this because it looks like it's aimed mainly at American athletes, but you have to basically apply to get on, and they'll fly you over to do this event.
And it's in Ibiza. It's the castle of Ibiza in Spain. It says I've had a quick look at it, and what is it? It says the Red Bull Ibiza Royale is the wildest obstacle race through the Ibiza castle. Mixed teams of two will face entertaining and outrageous challenges, testing speed, strength, balance, and reaction. It doesn't really say much more than that, Ian.
Doesn't, except there are course designers, and this is interesting because I'll be honest, the more I read about this, the more it does seem like a gimmick that, like the Sort Card Derby, that's probably going to be on TV somewhere on a channel on Sky, probably 507 or something like that. Yeah, it's gonna be on there, and they'll be repeated on Dave forever. But they've got a lot of relatively well-known names who I believe are each designing an obstacle for it. And I should point out, I think it's only about a mile course. It's not a massive course, this, but we've got Demi Bagby from USA, who is a massive fitness influencer. The person we'll know best is Ida. So Ida Matilda Steensgaard from Denmark. We obviously know Ida's a big part of Team Red Bull. We've also got Seb Tutant from Canada and Arslan Ash as well. And we've got David Jones from New Zealand. Oh, we've also got Adrian Vaughan and Paul Frege. They are not necessarily, shall we say, obstacle racers, with the exception of perhaps Ida. And fairly sure that, Seb isn't an obstacle racer, but I know him because he's a snowboarder. This does sound like a gimmick, but it also sounds like a lot of fun.
It sounds very much like when I've read it all, like Ninja Warrior or Gladiator. So you've got to apply to it by sending in your video, got to put video submissions in. And then if you get chosen, they're going to fly you all out. I see it being very much a Gladiators Red Bull style event. Sorry, not Gladiator, Glad Bull Ninja Warrior, not Glad Bull Radio. I can't get my words out now. Glad Bull, or whatever it is, a Ninja Warrior stroke Gladiators event. I can see the mixture of that.
Yeah, I think I expect a big budget, lots of content creators there, if I'm honest, Alan. That's what I'm expecting. It'll probably be a fantastic day. Is it going to spark off a load more obstacle races? Probably not. I just get this impression it's going to be OCR adjacent. Watch me get this completely wrong, and before we know it, there's going to be a Red Bull series. But we shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. And if this does take off, and if there's loads of videos swirling around on Top Tick or whatever it's called, then I do think we should get behind it and try and nudge some of these competitors towards things. Well, a lot of them will be Americans, but towards things like Savage Race, or if you are from UK, towards Nuclear Fit, towards Spartan, towards Nuts, towards all the other tens of hundreds of events that I've just upset by not mentioning them.
Completely agree. And, it's been great if this takes off and it can put anyone into any OCR direction, bring new people in, say, I want to have a go at that. So I do want to see a few obstacles in there that are OCR related.
No, and we'll keep following this. I think they're going to start releasing some obstacles, Alan, which is always fun to chat about. So let's keep our eyes on this one, and listener, in the future, we'll let you know if there's anything there which could, tempt you to do a video of you being a bit silly to try and get to Ibiza.
Talking about big budgets and that, High Rocks on the BBC.
High Rocks are on the BBC, as our good friend James Burton and a few others who shared it with us said. This does again feel like the early days of OCR when you would see articles like this. What's interesting to me, Alan, this doesn't seem like a High Rocks article. And what I mean by that is it doesn't read like something that their PR team has done. Their PR team is wonderful. we love their PR team. They send us stuff. It's PR. We love you. But this does seem like some independent research as opposed to being set up by PR team. And I'm all for it.
Me too. Me too. I like it. When I read it, I was like, yeah, I like that, how that's been written.
It was what I liked about it is they tracked down Lauren Weeks and chatted to her, and they also chatted to an individual who, honestly, Alan, I don't know who this person is. I know that sounds a bit arrogant, but you just get in the habit of knowing people within the High Rock scene who will perhaps talk to people about High Rocks because they tend to recycle the same several dozen. Do you agree,
So,
Alan?
completely agree. Completely agree. While you were just
Wait,
talking then, Ian, jump in here while you were just talking then. You know, we said earlier on that this takes us back a few years to OCR. Apart from Becky Neal's recent post on BBC Sport, the last time OCR was in on the BBC was the 26th of March 2017, and when it was the rise of obstacle course racing. And this was done by Neil Heath and Andrew Alloa from the BBC News. Now, have you got the article up now that's about High Rocks, Ian?
yeah, what's interesting is, of course, the title is very similar. You said the rise of OCR.
Yeah,
The BBC one is how High Rocks became the latest sporting craze.
exactly. This is what I see. It's right, isn't it? It's mirror image.
It is. And so I'll give a shout out to Lucy Gabriel, who was the lesser known athlete who was interviewed, who again, not actually sure who she is. And I do like this about the BBC. I know some people criticize the BBC. I like that they try their best to be balanced. And lots of people will always think that, oh, the BBC is against my interests. That's a common thing. Again, we don't really talk politics on here, but if you're left leaning, you think that the BBC is against the left leaning people. If you're right leaning, you think BBC is against the right leaning people. Easy for me to say. In reality, surely if you're both upset, it probably means it's somewhere in the middle. But right at the bottom, they talk about how great it is, and then they mention, is High Rocks growing too fast for its own good?
Well, I think we've asked that question several times. Maybe not growing too fast for its own good, but is it growing too fast? I think in general, it's grown so fast, so quick. And I know you do the fitness racing podcast, and we constantly talk about fitness racing. But is High Rocks creating a brand that when we talk about fitness racing going forward, we're going to use High Rocks? Same as instead of saying it's a changing robe, we talk about it being a dry robe. And instead of being a vacuum, it's a Hoover. Could it be this case?
I absolutely believe it's this case. In the same way that you'd say, if you didn't know the sport, you'd say, I was going doing a Tough Mudder, irrespective of whether or not it was Tough Mudder brand. You could go and do a local, I don't know, get muddy race or something similar in your local park. You'd say, oh, I'm going doing one of them Tough Mudder things. And this is something that I know High Rocks is having to, shall we say, fight with, because initially they didn't do a very good job of protecting their IP. They were almost flattered when gyms were using their names. Now, of course, their IP is a lot more valuable. So some gyms will put a workout out there and call it come and do a High Rocks, even though it was nothing to do with the High Rocks. And yeah, you do get these people thinking that that's what it is. And without being too snooty about it, Alan, I'm trying not to be a gatekeeper. It is almost a way of finding out how much they know about the sport based on how they describe it.
Completely agree. Completely agree. My friend at work, whose friend owns a gym, and they put High Rock Sims on, and my friend will say to me, "I'm going to do a High Rock Sim this week," and I'll say, "Okay, so what are you doing?" And he'll say, "Well, I'm doing a 20-meter sledge pull and this," and I'm, "Well, it's not an High Rock Sim, is it? So if you're a simulating the High Rocks, you'd be doing the full distances. You'd be running, the 1 kilometer between every functional fitness, and you'd be doing every distance that will be on High Rocks. That's a High Rock Sim. What you're doing is you're doing a mini version of High Rocks exercises."
Yeah, you're doing High Rocks exercises, and unlike a CrossFit, High Rocks is a race. Like, you wouldn't say you've going doing a triathlon and when in actuality all you've done is you jumped in the pool and then you've walked home.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I cycled there, jumped in the pool, and walked home. I've done a triathlon today.
Yeah, exactly. So it is something to keep an eye on. I reckon what you will get, Alan, is you will get probably quite a lot of people who would do a High Rocks but would never dream of doing another event. We saw that with obstacle racing, where they do a Tough Mudder and that was it for them. They were just interested in that. So it's going to be interesting how it works out. And hey, we're along for a ride, eh, Alan?
Exactly. We've been there from the start, and we will be there for as long as we can be. I think it's great that High Rocks are doing what they're doing. They're doing for fitness racing what Tough Mudder did for OCR right at the beginning. Whether people agree with that or not, that's your opinion. But for me, they threw money at it. We got the pictures. We got all the exposure from what they did. Yes, it was expensive, but they made it mainstream. They made OCR mainstream for us. People say Mr. Mouse was the first guy. If he was the first guy, he didn't make it mainstream, though. It was Tough Mudder that did. And the same with High Rocks. So keep doing your High Rocks. But yeah, anyone else out there, look at some of the other events. Strive, Conquer Fitness, Deadly Dozen. There's so many out there, isn't there?
Our good friends Nuclear Fit as well.
Yep.
There's the Hybrid Games Rise that ESN are putting on. There's countless. In fact, as luck would have it, and this wasn't planned, we've actually got a podcast about it, Alan, over on the Fitness Racing podcast stream. We preview a lot of events coming in 2025. Go and listen to that. Last couple of things I will say about High Rocks. One is, what is interesting is we don't have a Mr. Mouse type character in High Rocks, because there were fitness style events going on before High Rocks. Superhuman Games celebrated their 10-year anniversary, which definitely puts them before High Rocks. But the difference this time is, shall we say that the creators of High Rocks didn't go and do an unpaid internship with someone and then set up something very similar. It was something that they set up. Was it an original idea? No, it wasn't an original idea. Did they market it better than everyone else? Absolutely. And as a result, I'll be there this weekend, Alan. 6 times now in Manchester, High Rocks has been, including World Champs. We will be there. We'll cover as much as we can on at uk.hxr. So that's what I'm doing this weekend. Alan, we've got a little bit left in the show. What about you?
My first ultra of the weekend. And I have got the worst preparation going ever, Ian, because in Leeds on Saturday night, I am going to go and watch South Martins, which is a tribute band to Beautiful South and the House Martins. So it's going to be late coming back from Leeds, well past midnight, and then I'm up at 5 o'clock to head down to Derby for my start time at 8 o'clock for the Wilmot Wonder.
And how far is the Wilmot Wonder?
32 miles. It's supposed to be. However, it might be a mile extra because there's 2 diversions apparently. So we're being told it might be slightly longer. So around about 50 kilometres.
Okay. Is there any cut-off for this race?
No, there's no cut-off. A couple of our friends are doing it, though. Kelly Spaulding's husband's doing it. And a few other people I know that are going to gather. I can't remember all the names because I've had quite a few messages about it. I've sent the Garmin map to about 6 people that have asked me about it so far.
Oh, wow. So is it self-navigated to some degree?
It is very self-navigated. This is not a marked course, which I always find it makes it more interesting. I love courses like that. You know, quite recently I went and did the Hangover Run, which was up in Dewsbury, and that was self-navigated. I like the idea of getting lost. And I said this to Kelly, because me and Kelly's talked quite a lot about this. And I said to her, what your husband's got to remember is that he's going to get lost. At some point, he will get lost. And he's just got to remember that he's got to get back on track as soon as possible. So whether he tracks it on his phone or his watch or whatever, you know, be looking down at least every 300 meters, you know, because if you go off track, you don't want to be running back no more than half a kilometer. So you know you're going to go off track. just keep looking. Every time you come to a junction, look, keep checking. It is worth it. It'll save you time. And yeah, I can't. And anyone else who's doing self-navigation, like just check on a regular basis that you are on track.
Are there going to be any aid stations, or is it completely self-sufficient?
No, there are aid stations. I believe there's 4. I want to say 4. I've read somewhere. There's 3 or 4. So it's not completely self-sufficient. It's only 30 something miles here, and I'm not going to say it's too much. I would have expected 2 aid stations, 3 normally. But I think there's 4 on there I've read somewhere. They're not going to be huge aid stations. They never are on these type of events because they're done in aid of, well, this is in aid of the Scouts. So this one's in aid of the Scouts down in Cheesden, I believe it is, which is just outside Derby. And they put this on every year. It was £22, I want to say, Ian. £22 each. So it was an absolute bargain. But yeah, so I wouldn't expect aid stations with what you get at Rat Race and things like that. You know, you're going to get to be able to fill your water bottles up. I'll probably not eat anything out there. So I'm straight out, and I'm going to just go with the nutrition I've got in my rucksack, and I'll just fill up the water bottles as we at the aid stations, in and out as fast as I can is the plan. And
presumably you'll have a supply of caffeine bullets with you to get you through.
Yes, there's 20 caffeine bullets already in my in my bag. I don't need that many, but I'm taking some for Jamie because I'm doing it with Jamie. Rob's coming along as well, so anyone knows my running buddy. Rob's coming along, but because he's still injured from running, he's actually taking his mountain bike, and he's going to see if he can get round in his mountain bike, which will be quite interesting.
Oh gosh, is he self-navigating?
He is self-navigating, but obviously he can't go on the same path as us, which I think is going to be even more funny because anyone who knows Rob knows that he loves to get lost. He doesn't look at his watch, or when he does, he can't read it. So he could end up, and he could be back in Barnsley before we even get back to the start.
Either that or in London.
Or even in London, yeah. His sense of direction, he could be anywhere.
Oh, gosh. Well, listener, if Alan does get lost, then I will sub in again on Monday's show. Thank you for the feedback we've received on that. That was a little bit different. We had a little bit of a joke with it over the fact that Alan had apparently deceased. And as often happens with a show, the stars aligned and Alan found himself really busy and unable to record a podcast. So me and Will hopped on, and it was quite interesting, Alan. Did you enjoy that one?
I did, yeah. You know, I actually learned a little bit. I've used it this week on one of my TikToks. So Will talked about hashtags at one point and putting too many hashtags on things and tagging too many people, which I thought was quite interesting because I started doing little TikTok videos, my 360. I am actually playing with it basically just to see what works and what doesn't. And I put a little video of me running on a training run, and I normally get about 1,000 views on TikTok over a week. So in a week, I'll probably get 1,000 views. It doesn't go much higher after that. And on this one, I have actually had 2,000 views in less than a week. So, you know, I've only out 3 days and I've had 2,000 views. So that's different, that. So maybe something I learned from Will has paid off. I don't know. The next one we'll watch out for.
Definitely watch out. Let's see if it works. And if it does prove to be correct, we'll stick that episode behind a paywall.
We'll see. Yeah, we want someone to go viral, don't we? I did have one that went viral once. Well, so viral, it had about 15,000 views last time I looked. So would that have paid well?
I've no idea. But if Will's tips are apparently working, then yeah, we need to put that episode behind a paywall. Let's make some money out of it. I'm kidding, listener. I'm kidding. As always, when it comes to paying for content, you just get it early.
Yes, exactly. But if you're a patron, you get all our podcasts early.
Well, most of them. Usually, a certain podcast that comes out on a Wednesday occasionally takes its time getting its stuff to Alan, and the first time you can access it is about
Tuesday
2 hours before it goes out. Yeah. So, listener, on that, we're all out of notes, so I'm going to say it's goodbye from me.
And listeners, goodbye from me. You take care. You stay safe. If you're at the Wilmot Wonder, I will see you there. If you're at High Rocks, Ian will see you there. Have a great race, Ian. Until then, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.